Hey guys, Brohart here, and I'm going to take a minute to talk about planetary industry. I've gone through last couple days. I scanned everything in Placid. I scanned everything in Syndicate. Scanned everything in Pure Blind. So I went through and scanned a whole bunch of plasma planets, seeing the corporation projects that we have set up, and I decided that I wanted to contribute to the corporation projects. So I wanted to figure out how do I make mechanical parts? What is it going to take? Do I want to do low sec or null sec near us? What kind of works? So I made a couple forays into null sec, but the thing is, with the command center upgrades for Plasma, Plasma is one of the rarest planets. All the command centers weigh the same, but getting out to the Plasma planets tends to take more jumps. They're more spread out. So trying to go into null, the typical choke points into null were awful. I was hitting a bunch of like a bunch of small warp disruption bubbles. They were fucking up my ship. The haulers that can carry those command centers have align times of like 10 to 20 seconds. So you're very, very slow. You're very fragile. Um, and what I found I had to do was not install those command centers into null, since even though I can use a cheetah or something similar with an interdiction nullifier and work through those segments, I don't have the skills early on to do that for the blockade runner ships or the funds. They're a lot more expensive than the ship I'm about to show you. So initially, I went through and I looked at all these, all these ones in Placid. So these are just low sec planets, and this is just the scanning results from here in order. So just what those resource densities are, roughly what it's worth. And I found that, obviously the null space bias, the planets are much, much higher, but I died three times using various techniques to try and get past with really cheap ships that weren't really properly equipped for null. So sub 20 million ships, really cheap ships. And it didn't work. I died a bunch. I got a lot of kill mails, made some new friends, asked them what I could do differently. And really I wound up switching over and looking at Placid more intensely since it is low sec. You don't have to worry about getting bubbled, getting warp disrupted in the same way. You don't have to have an interdiction nullifier. And I started testing that out, died a couple times just with very, very basic passive tank ships on haulers that I was just sending them into the abyss. Four plasma command centers in there and a dream. Uh, and pirates kept blowing me up. So what I wound up finding worked was a bestower, one of the Amar haulers. You can probably use any of the haulers. It might just be a little tricky depending on how you need to fit it. But the fit that I wound up using was as follows: just having an improved cloaking device too on the high slot, allowing you to do the micro warp drive and cloak trick in conjunction with a 50 meganewton, 50 mn. I'm actually not sure what that unit of measurement is. 50 mn quad restraint, any of the 50 mn micro warp drives is going to be fine for this size. Then you want to use the nanofiber structures instead of the inertial stabilizers, because the inertial stabilizers make it faster for those fun gate camping pirates to lock onto you. Uh, I got a warp core stabilizer, realized this was an active module. That was a fun death. Where I was like, how am I not escaping? He was like, you got to turn on the warp core stabilizer. And then I blew up. But now I know. Now I know. Generally, though, I've been able to just use the micro warp drive trick and that improved cloaking device too to slip through as soon as you come through the gate. You click to align to the next place that you want to hop. You start cloaking. So I'd bind the cloak to F1. You start your micro warp drive at the same time. So boom, boom. I bind it to F2, hit those. And then right before the micro warp drive finishes that one cycle that you've run with it, you kill your cloak. So you hit F1 again if it's bound to F1. You kill your cloak, and you just spam the absolute fuck out of dock or jump or whatever the interaction symbol is for whatever target that you have selected at the time, whether it's a station or a jump gate. Um, that's worked great for me. I got through a half a dozen gate camps in this bad boy. I like to name my ships just a little redirect. T2 Golem gas huffing. So I like to do that. You're very, very fast. You can align quickly because you're aligning while you're cloaked. You get a little bit of the speed boost from the micro warp drive, and you carry that through even after you disable the cloak, and then you begin to do your warp. And it is so fast. If you do it without, if you do like a base bestower, I think it is 16 and a half seconds, something like that, for you to align, for you to start warping. And for a lot of ships that you're going to run into, these catalysts that are just sitting out there, 15 seconds, if you're unlucky and they have a good punch through, that's more than enough time for them to kill you. You're going to be dead. You're going to be dead. Um, So that's been my experience anyway. I started using the Star. I fit it with the cloaking device and the micro warp drive. I had to fit in some other items here. So power diagnostic and reactor control unit, so I don't get any stacking uh, disadvantages. And then throwing in a power core. I have the warp core stabilizer here, and then these two nanofiber structures just to help me align a little faster. And then I put one ancillary current router. Depending on what your power grid skills are, you may need to put multiple. Uh, I don't have very good micro warp drive or afterburner skills, so I'm just using these like tier 1.5 fittings here. But this has worked well for me, and you can see the overall value of the ship is about 12 million ISK. Um, that said, I was running slightly cheaper ones of this, like 3, 4 million ISK, very minimally fit. But if they keep blowing up and you don't get your command centers installed, it's just a waste of everybody's time. So this has been working great. I wouldn't do this into Null Sec because these fuckers are still so goddamn slow, and this will not help you if you land in a bubble. You will still die. So for Null or for lawless low sec systems, not really suitable still. It's going to be still very high risk, basically a total gamble, hoping that there's no bubbles in the way. With this though, you can navigate null or low sec pretty confidently. I haven't been killed yet, and I'll tell you guys, I did an absolute fuckload of jumps. Probably like 40 jumps through this morning, not including the ships that I lost. Not including the ships that I lost. And the many, many clone corpses that I was linked from pirates will not be in vain. So, now that you know, and basically any of the tier 1 haulers is suitable for this, there's a bunch within like 4 or 5 jumps of us. I bought a lot of them and then blew them up in the last few days. So, sorry for the low supply. I was really fucking up the supply for our region. But now I've got it figured out. I won't lose so many ships, at least that way anymore. So then we get into the next piece. So you have the ship. You got to scan. I'll show you here. These are some of the highest scanning spots, and I've shared this a couple times in the corp chat. Happy to share it again. These are the highest scanning spots near us. I wound up picking a balance of close and high value, and not too heavily camped. Although Vlilier, I don't know how it's pronounced, Vilil, is probably the most dangerous one in here. Probably the most dangerous. And you do have to go through the through Aubinal. So Uli to Aubinal is very frequently camped. Expect to have to use your micro warp drive and cloak skills as you go through this. So the big benefit for this, when we're doing plasma ones, you can do processing and factory planets. I'm not really covering that here. I like the simplicity of doing extraction and processing. I'm currently at CCU III, which lets me produce like P1s pretty easily on a planet like that, and then have some overflow resources that we can sell. What you can expect in terms of hard ISK per day per planet, probably about 1 million ISK per day per planet. Um, these resources wind up pretty small. So if you're going to use a hauler like this, you can wait and do like a week or every other week haul and do either a loop of these or mitigate your risk and do individual planets and run it back to Osmoden and then turn them in at the project hangar and get a nice corp reward as well as helping out Reggie, who we all love and who we badly want to put up more contracts for drone ships, especially drone link augmented ships. So this is a great way to not have to ferry resources in, so you reduce your risk and the time that's spent actively managing the planet. Everything that we're about to do here is simple. We're going to set up a new planet. Probably going to be able to do it in under 5 minutes. Like, do it really, really quick. All the links, all the routing, and everything that basically as simple as you'll have to then travel out to that system, use the jump pad, use the customs office, get your shit out of there, run for your life. But it's not too complicated. So that's about what you can expect if you upgrade your command center, uh, whatever it is, command center upgrade skill, and you get more power, and you can create two of the P1s here on the planet. You can process it up into a P2, uh, or I'm sorry, you can process it up into a P3 like robotics. Mechanical parts are a P2. You can process it up even higher. It takes up much less space. So you can use smaller, faster ships like a cheetah to pick up your stuff. And it's worth a lot more. So you wind up being able to even punch up to like 7 million ISK per day, per planet. If you have maxed out your power center upgrades, you find a small plasma planet and you put everything on top of it, on top of each other, uh, so that you're as efficient as possible. Then you may be able to do P3 on a planet if you're lucky. And that dramatically improves your earnings, like super, super improves it. But even if you can produce two different P2s, so consumer electronics and mechanical parts, for instance, would be the two parts that are leading up to robotics that we would want to create here. That also will bump your earning up a substantial amount for the planet. Or yeah, I guess you could just do it even more of one, but why not diversify? Why not diversify? Depending on what your scan results are, you may or may not want to. Okay, so we've gone through low sec or null sec. We want to do low sec. Getting your planetary command centers into low sec. We talked a little bit about the micro warp drive, about the actual equipment that you need. This thing can fit four of the plasma command centers. The requirements, you're going to want to train up command center upgrades 3 and cloaking 3. I don't think there are any other real hard requirements here, but you really want to be able to use the improvised cloaking device 2. You need it for the micro warp drive trick to work, to cut your align times and to make it impossible to target you for a brief period of time, give you a little bit of a invulnerability window. And that's about it. We already talked about how much you would make. We already talked about ways you can upgrade from this method. But this is just a basic method. If you're not doing any planetary interaction right now, you don't really want to care about planetary interaction that much. You don't want to fuck with it too much. You can set up with what I'm about to show you, and just like basically refresh the extractor heads once a week or once a day, whatever you want to do for optimal resources, and then just go pick it up once a week, once every 2 weeks, whichever one you want to do, you know? So it makes it a little bit easier. It's another option. Um, I'm sure, I know Steve was mentioning in the chat that he has some factory planets that are very, very profitable, and he may be able to talk to you more about methods like that if you want to do a more involved setup where you're hauling resources in or hauling resources between planets. But all of the planets that I'm managing now are going to be completely self-contained and just have that processed output that is picked up on an irregular basis, every week or so. I guess a regular but slow basis. Um, so it's targeted at very low maintenance. If you want to be doing other parts of the game, you don't want to be interacting with planetary interaction too much. It's a pretty good setup. All right, so we got the planet uh, Abenal 2 here, and we're going to go ahead and set up a small example. What we're going to need for the mechanical parts that we're making first is base metals and noble metals, and we'll be processing those up into reactive metals and precious metals. Now, when we look at the scanner here, one of the skills that you want to put at least 1 point into is planetology. And if you get 3 points into planetology and advanced planetology, it can help you to make a lot more from planets, since how accurate the survey amounts are here, and even when you place the extractor heads, is dependent on that skill. We're going to be gambling a little bit here and hoping that these red spots for base and for noble metals are really strong. So the first thing we can see on this planet is that noble metals are going to be the constraining factor. We need roughly equivalent amounts of both of these resources. And we can see already there are some red spots, so very, very dense spots for base metals. Noble metals, we're kind of fucked here. There's not really much for us. So we can build around one of the strongest spots, which seems to be right around here. And we see a little bit of red on the South Pole, a little bit of red around the North Pole. And we're looking for a good enough spot for the noble metals. So we're probably gonna have to put like 5 or 6 heads down to make sure that we get enough noble metals in order to maximize our advanced factory, the one advanced factory that we put down for this planet. I'm thinking probably right around here. It's all pretty weak. So this green is right middle of the road. You can see here. We can bump it a little bit down. Yeah. So we'll put our extractor heads like right here. And we'll put them nice and in the middle of this, so we have pretty good coverage here. You don't have to put these anywhere near where your command center is. I don't even know where my command center is on this planet. I'm gonna be 100% transparent with you right now. I don't know where it is. It doesn't matter. We already upgraded it. We'll never look at it again until we can upgrade it again. So we're gonna put down 2 of the resource extractor heads. We want to put everything as close as possible to minimize how much linking these structures costs us. That's just a big, doesn't give us shit to waste our resources on that type of linking. For each of these, we're going to target bringing in 12,000 per hour. 12,000 per hour will max out 2 of these basic factories on each side. So we can put, I should put this closer. I'm going to decommission them. You can use this tool right here to do quick decommissioning. So we'll line these up, we'll get it nice and close so we don't waste on our links like I was just saying. Can you imagine? Don't do that immediately. I waste everything. Okay, we still have a little bit left for our heads. We can see that this is a pretty, oh wait, not like that. Basic industry facilities. There we go. Fantastic, never better. And that's a much healthier amount of power to have left. Okay, so we're gonna want to go ahead and place these. And we'll go. Click install extraction program. We're gonna go for base metals. No, we're gonna go for noble metals here. Zoom in. And we'll add 3 extractor heads, 4 extractor heads, 5 extractor heads. We're probably gonna need 5 extractor heads here to hit 12,000. So we'll put this down in the corner. We'll grab this bad boy. Grab this, and you can see on the left side of the panel the actual numerical values, so that you can tweak them around and just try and get a little bit higher. You know, decide how much you want. It was 5 for about 12,000, and then we'll bump this up. So if you're doing this on a daily basis, you go down in 1 day. And we want to try and move these to make sure that we're getting a 12,000 unit average per hour. Otherwise, your production is going to seriously fall off. So we're going to lean on this side, knowing that this is going to be the weaker resource on this planet, and see if we can balance these out. Get us 12,000. Really falls off though. More than 6 extractor heads is a little extreme. We'll run at slightly less than peak efficiency here. You'd also reduce the duration of the program, and that would bring up the average, because you can see at the beginning 15,672 units per hour. We're actually going to have a surplus from the earlier hours of output until we get to about like the, is that 78, 40 cycles in, like 20 hours? Yeah, oh, it has it on there, 20-hour mark. So we'll go ahead and start the extraction here. We've only left probably 3 extractor heads on the other side. So we'll submit this. Go here, install extraction program. And instead on this side, we're going to get the base metals. This is going to be a lot easier. We'll see how many, yeah, 3. So we'll pop these up here, boom, boom, boom. And look, easily we're getting 21,000 per hour. So actually, probably we want to kill one of these. It's not quite high enough. Nope, take the 3rd. And then we'll rely on the surplus generated in the earlier hours of the 24-hour cycle to carry us through, guys. All right, so we're looking for 128s here. This is like a very nice spot, very nice spot. 130s. All right, so we'll move all of these adjacent. We don't want to move them too close. We'll get penalized on the left-hand side, though. You can see that we quickly got all these up to 130. We're looking at 15,000 an hour. We'll bump this up to 1 day. We'll probably have to space these out since that's going to make the extractor heads larger. Just a little bit, though. Oh, interesting. That brought us down. 11,000. Oh, the spot here's interesting. 11,000. Oh, we need 12,000, guys. We need 12,000 per hour. I guess same thing here. There's a large surplus. 15,000 in the earlier hours. That'll carry us through the full 24-hour cycle. So we'll go ahead and start this one as well. We'll submit, and then we'll go in here. And this is what scares everybody, the linking. So we'll click this tool first. Click, 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 and we're just linking everything into the launch pad. Oh my God, these guys shouldn't be linked though. Oh, they're linked forever, inextricably. No, it's extricable. We just go in there and we delete the link. Okay, so for each of these, so now we have routes. We don't actually have anything yet, but we have these products that are going to come in. So we'll click on our extractor control unit. We'll click on the noble metals, and we're going to route it into the launch pad. And then we'll do the same thing for the base metals in the other extractor control unit. Create that route there. And then for each of these, we're going to have to decide, this is going to be reactive metals. We'll make the reactive metals, and then it's asking us where do we want those reactive metals to go. We put them back in the launch pad. Same for this one. Reactive metals go in the launch pad. This one, we're going to do mechanical parts. Mechanical parts go in the launch pad. Round peg, launch pad hole. We're going to go and do the precious metals here. And, this one, we've got base metals going to reactive metals. This one, we've got noble metals going to precious metals. And we will set the launch pad. And then this last one, precious metals, and we'll set the launch pad. And then from each of these, we're going to have to set the routes for those incoming products. Where do they actually go? So the base metals are going to go to the left side, and it'll actually stop us from creating the route if the game's like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you send base metals where they're not going to be used? You'll get like a little warning on the factories. So don't worry too much. The game will help you a little bit. And then we'll put the noble metals as well. And send them to these. So all of these should be solid colors. We don't want to see any of them have a red border. And then the last one is going to be the advanced factory. It needs to have both of the products from these basic facilities, these pairs of basic facilities that are processing the extractor head outputs. It needs to have them routed into it, and it will produce the mechanical parts for us. So we're going to go to the launch pad, we'll go to routes, and we'll go to precious metals, create route, and then we will go to reactive metals, create route. Okay. And we're done. That's it. So we'll submit this plan, and it's basically going to keep running through that. And as soon as the materials become available, they'll begin to be processed by these basic facilities, basic industry facilities. And then when they've produced those outputs, they've turned it into the metals that we need. They'll be turned into mechanical parts here in the advanced industry facility. And then you just need to worry about when this fills up with 10,000 meters cubed of the, we're trying to keep it pretty close to 12,000. When you readjust these, try to get 12,000 again so that you don't have too much waste, just because the less processed materials take a lot more space. The more processed, the less space you have to worry about, the smaller ships that you can bring. And that's a big, as you go higher and higher and process more with higher command center upgrades, that's a big advantage. Okay, and then once you get here and you actually have them, you'll want to actually go out to the customs office. So fly out to this planet, go to the customs office, hit launch, and have it launch it out, and make sure that you don't launch more than the ship that you take out can carry. The ship that we were just looking at a moment ago has an absolute ton of cargo. So about 5,000 cargo for you to deal with. You could probably swap a couple of these out depending on your risk tolerance and your power grid skills to give you more cargo space, give you more cargo hold, since this one is good. It's not specialized, so the cargo hold upgrades help a ton. You could get another 500 or more uh, meters cubed of cargo space, no doubt. Um, but I think that's about it. You got any questions? Hit me up. That's the whole process, though. If you want to find and scan planets, I'll touch on it very briefly here uh, with Dotland. So if we go over to Dotland, bring that up here, and we go to one of the places that we're in, or no, actually, we'll do planets. So say syndicate, for instance, because we were just looking at syndicate. There's a planets option up here. I'm gonna hit the planets. We were looking for plasmas, so we can sort by type in here. And then we can link into the region that we want to see more about. So pure blind, I guess, was another one. We can see there are 14 plasma planets there. Click into pure blind, sort by plasma, and we can find every single system that has plasma planets or that has two. So one of the ones that we could look at is this crazy ass fucking null system. Bump our map open, and this is how I surveyed everything. I didn't actually go out to any of these planets. I did remote surveying of all of them. So you search for the name after you've looked it up in Dotland. Go ahead, you right click on it, show it in map browser. Click here, you can go to planets, and then you can view planetary industry remotely. So you can look at these planets. You can't necessarily see the detailed breakdown of where those minerals are, but you can hover over and see what are the resource densities for that planet. So that was one of the first steps that I took to see how far are these planets away, how dense are their resources, and how risky is it to get there. And then you can also, when you have a list of planets that you're thinking of, you can add them all as waypoints and then optimize your route using the autopilot to get a nice short route, the shortest route. I'll usually add a bunch, like add 10 different waypoints, because past that it starts to have performance issues, and optimize the route, and then just cut out the furthest planets and check out the ones that are closest. All right, I think that's everything, guys. Let me know if you have any questions, and good luck. I hope you're able to use this and contribute to some of the corporation projects. Cheers.